It's not always easy to know how to make yourself feel better when you're kind of down in the dumps. So I've been spending some time thinking about what makes me feel better and kind of what things are within my control that I can always kind of go to just kind of pick myself up when I'm down. Which happens more often than I'd like. Um, but yeah, so without more rambling, let's go get into this episode. What's going on, beautiful people? This is the Perspective Chasers podcast, and I'm your host, John. On this episode, I'm going over 5 things that I do to make me feel good and bring me out the kind of pits that kind of life puts you in sometimes. So I'll run through the list, just plain and simple, and then break down each one of the things to why I think they are important, because it's so often these things are kind of mentioned, but they're not justified. And I think it's the justification that a lot of people need to kind of really understand and get behind some of these things. So the first thing on the list is going to be exercise. And that can be something different for everybody, which I'll get into later. The second point is going to be good food. Again, everybody's going to have their own idea of that. The third thing is going to be music. Again, everybody's going to have their own idea of what good music is, but we'll get to that. The fourth thing is going to be fun. Nearly messed up there. Have some fun, enjoy yourself, whatever that means to you. Like, that definitely is a kind of way to bring yourself out of the dumps. And the last one, and maybe, well, they're all important, I guess, but it's definitely up there in its importance, is rest. Like, sometimes you just don't feel good because you haven't had enough rest. And that's okay. Sometimes it takes somebody else to kind of remind you that. Sometimes you need to take a long, hard look at like what you've been doing and how you've been going to really figure out like you need to take it easy and take some rest. So obviously each one of these things has so much value to them. Like the idea of exercise, as I said, it's different to everybody. Some people's idea of exercise could be lifting heavy weights, another's could be swimming, another's could be horse riding. Like there's so many forms of exercise and things you could do. Even a casual walk. Like it doesn't have to be in the extremes. It doesn't have to be what everybody else does. Like there's so many different ways in which you can get exercise, but just kind of moving your body, I think, is what does the trick. Like we weren't made, if we were made, that is, to sit around and just do nothing. So when we spend a lot of our life sitting still and just sedentary and not doing much, it's easy to feel crappy. So just getting up and moving in any way, shape or form can help you feel so much better. Just reminding yourself that you can do stuff. Reminding yourself that you're strong, that you're capable of doing things. Like that goes so far. As always, I bring up my daughter on this, but like that was probably one of the big kind of mental changes when it comes to like my idea of exercise and fitness overall. When I became a dad, it went from being wanting to be as big as I could be and as strong as I could be to wanting to actually have some functional fitness and be able to use my body. And the older I get, the more that solidifies. Like, I would rather feel athletic and know that I can run when I need to run, jump when I need to jump, and do whatever, than kind of struggle to move about and kind of have a poor range of motion. Which I've been to those points, and yeah, it's not so fun. But again, like everybody has a different idea of exercise, but just moving your body, dancing, like that's going to lead into the next one. But again, just moving your body is that kind of massive reminder and kind of just it reinvigorates you and re-energizes you to no end. Just knowing that you have a body to use and that you can use. Like not everybody has that privilege, so count yourself lucky. The second point is music. Now, music has a superpower. Like there's something to do with the beats per minute and everything else that it can resonate with your heart rate. I'm going to butcher this, but fact check me and find the truth. So the beats per minute of music can resonate with your heartbeat, and when it does this, it can literally just elevate you. Like when the two synchronize, music can literally uplift you. Once your heart rate elevates, just like it does during exercise, you feel more alive. You quite literally are more alive. You're exuberating more energy. Oh, big word there, John. Um, like you're putting out far more energy. You're producing far more energy, and you're having fun while you're doing it. Which, again, like I have fun while I'm training. All of these things kind of tie in to each other, which is probably why they're together and kind of make up a lot of my life at the minute. But hey ho, I always use my life as the guinea pig, so what you gonna do? But yeah, like music, there's so many different genres, there's so many different artists and styles and interpretations and this, that, and everything else. Like you could go on an absolute adventure with music, exploring different artists and genres and different decades or whatever. Like you can really get lost in that world. And there is something that is so energizing about it. There is when a song hits your soul and it just resonates with you, whether it be that it touches on a few points in your life, or that it's just catchy, or that the beat is just takes you over, whatever it is. Like I say, everybody has their different reasons, but for me, listening to some good music, that's one surefire way to better my mood. If I chuck on something that's upbeat and that's got a dirty bass line and just, yeah, it's one of those things that I know is always kind of gonna perk my mood up. So it is a go-to. Good food is gonna be the next one to break down. Again, it's gonna be different for everybody. Everybody these days has their different eating styles. Do you, boo boo? I don't care. But whatever it is, get quality. Like quality food. And when I say quality, I mean fresh. Like the fresher the food, the better. The less processes it's gone through, the better. Like I would love to be in a position where I could have this diet where it's the only way I can kind of frame it is a single ingredient diet. Like you can eat whatever you want as long as it's only one ingredient. So if it's rice, bloody, oh, my mind's gone blank now. Standard fruit or veg or meat or fish, whatever it is. As long as it's one ingredient and it's not got things added to it and it's had multiple processes, this, that, and everything else, I think your body finds it far easier to deal with. And as a result, you feel better. So having a good quality source of nutrition is going to help you feel more energetic. It's going to help you feel lighter and more invigorated and healthier. You're going to have more minerals and vitamins from eating fresher food. There is so many things that are going to kind of domino benefit out of the back end that, yeah, like, and it is just simple. Like when you actually break it down and think about it in the long term, the complex food that we're bombarded with these days hasn't existed for very long. So no wonder our bodies are, for the most part, incapable of processing them efficiently. So it takes them longer to break down these complex concoctions of God knows what that's been refined and refined and refined and refined and then processed and flavored and packaged and sent to you. Like there is so many more sources of nutrients that you could get that are far easier to kind of attain than something that requires an entire factory to produce. Uh, Having a better kind of source of nutrition is going to be like that feeling of when you've had a good meal. Not the feeling of like a cheat meal, good meal. That's like an indulgence. Like you feel like bad after that. Like that kind of good meal, like when you've been out to a nice restaurant and you've eaten fresh food and it's good quality and it's a good atmosphere and you just feel so much better. Like it's hard to feel grumpy in those situations. It's hard to feel down in those situations, especially if you're in the moment and enjoying it. The next point is fun. And fun is another one where it's open for complete interpretation, whatever your idea of fun is. For me, it's either going to be messing around with my little one, just dancing around the house, being silly, playing hide and seek or whatever, gaming for a little bit, or just being a buffoon. I I enjoy driving, but the roads can be a pain in the butt, or people on the roads can be a pain in the butt. So sometimes that saps the fun out of it, but it is nice to take a nice long drive every now and then. But everybody's idea of fun is different, and it's not always going to be the same. Like my idea of fun is probably going to be hell for some people, and some people's idea of fun is going to be hell for me. Like the amount of people that sell out sports stadiums, but you put me in one and I'm bored as anything. I'd rather sit down in a library talking to people. Um, yeah, different strokes for different folks, I guess. And the last one is going to be rest. And rest, I think, is something that is heavily overlooked and misunderstood these days. Everybody, again, is going to require a different amount of rest. Everybody's rest is going to be different. Like, rest doesn't necessarily mean sleep. Rest can simply mean switching off and just doing nothing for a little bit. Like, just being you, just existing. Maybe it's existing in front of a show or a game or whatever. But whatever it is, you're putting out minimal energy and you're just recuperating and recharging and eating some good food or whatever. But that rest is always needed. Like, especially if you're somebody that does a lot in life, it's something that's so often forgot about. It's something that I know I often kind of sacrifice simply because everything else is a non-negotiable. So the time has to come from somewhere. So you take it from sleep. But if you do that too often, you end up seriously negatively impacting not just your physical health, but your mental health. Like you can really put yourself through the ringer by running yourself through thick and thin and to the point of exhaustion. Like I've been a workaholic and an absolute just nutcase when it comes to just trying to do everything. And it doesn't do much for you in the long run. Like, yes, I suppose it gets into that idea of a tortoise and a hare. That, one's just going to tire themselves out or get complacent and da 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 da. Whereas if you're just constantly consistent and you make a gradual process, you kind of make headway ongoing. And it's not a case of things pick up and you're always go, 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 go. It's that they're just always tricking along. Kind of like that autopilot idea, where it's Now, I don't know if autopilot is the right kind of one to tie in there. I suppose in it, yeah, but I'm gonna have to tie it with another one. So it's like autopilot, but when you're talking about like your week, if you're autopilot, if you're on autopilot through the week and you make, say you have 4 good days and 3 bad days, and those 4 good days was because you was on autopilot and you just done the bare minimum. Overall, that's a good week. Make that gradual process. Whereas if you're constantly on the grind, you're pushing things to the extreme, you're burning the candle at both ends and in the middle, which I so often do, you end up going full whack for a couple of weeks and then you're thrown out for a couple of weeks. Instead of kind of splitting your time where it's kind of 60-40, 70-30, or kind of teetering off, you're far more 50-50, if not 40-60. And when you're looking at kind of efficiency and getting things done, you end up lacking and taking away just because you're trying to do so much. I think that's another kind of pothole that so many people fall into, is just trying to do so much that they end up doing a trying to do so much that they end up doing nothing at all. Literally end up being that deer in headlights again, being overwhelmed by the list of stuff that there is to do, so you do nothing at all. We've all been there, but it's manageable. If you dial it all back, if you take the rest, if you take things slowly, if you put in the work on yourself, like all of these things that we say we don't have time for, we don't have time to rest, we don't have time for exercise, we don't have time to cook a good meal, we don't have time to listen to some good music, we don't have time to have some fun. Like all of these things, there is probably time that you're wasting elsewhere that you could make more time for these. Like, I know there's, like, I try to mediate my screen time a fair amount, but I know there's probably still a fair amount of time that I could squeeze back off screen time, or not even squeeze back, just change the type of screen time so it's more beneficial to myself. Like, not everything has to be a kind of teetotal and cut everything out. Sometimes you could mediate it, sometimes you can just change how you're using something, and that can make things far better. And a lot of this is kind of that, like finding the good in each one of these things and realizing that it is a go-to to kind of make yourself feel better and kind of dig yourself out the dumps when you're there. I I know on a bad day, even if I'm feeling down and I just don't want to do anything and I just don't feel like me, if I go and train, I know I've at least done something that is beneficial to me in that day and it's going to benefit me in the future. So I feel a little bit better. Although I might not feel great, I don't feel anywhere near as bad as if I was to just stay in bed doing nothing, which for me is never an option. So the thought is a lovely thing, but the point still stands. Like, by going out and doing something, going out and having fun, seeing a friend, or listening to some music, or whatever it is, like doing these things, actually taking action and doing something about whatever problem you are facing, that makes you feel better. So when you're feeling down and you're like, oh, I don't know what to do about it, there's 5 simple things that are always going to be within your control. Exercise doesn't depend on gym. You can go for a walk, you can run up and down your stairs, you can do some press ups, sit ups, squats, whatever it is that don't need any type of gym. You can have good food. It's not expensive to eat fresh food. Like, there are some things that will be expensive, yes, but not everything. Like, you don't have to go for the extravagance and for the top end of the spectrum. Just find yourself a way to get on the ladder and kind of feeling good in a sense. When it comes to music, put your playlist on shuffle and find some new music. You might be bored of the playlist or whatever. Like, there is so much out there to experience. find something new. Once you've got a new song that's kind of stuck in your head, you feel like you've discovered something and it makes you feel good. It invigorates you. Like these are all little tricks that you can just tap into when you need to. Like have some fun, do something silly, buy a game or go see some friends, go see a movie, go to a park or go to a theme park, whatever it is, go have some fun, do something that you enjoy, that makes you laugh, that makes you smile, that reminds you why you live life and why life should be enjoyed. And then rest, recoup, and get ready to do it all again. Because life goes on. Like, there's always going to be ups, downs, this, that, and everything else. So the better you can learn to mediate in the process, the more you'll enjoy over the long term. The more of those times that you'll be able to kind of look at and say, cool, I've had 4 good days. Well, okay, well now that's 4 good years and 1 bad year. That sounds pretty good. Like all of these different things mediate over time and you improve them slowly. So work on them slowly and you'll be surprised how much it can change. But that's the 5 points and I think I got through all of them and stayed fairly on topic today. So pat on the back for me. See, that made me feel good. Again, just little targets that you set for yourself and just trying to be a little bit better each day. Like there's little ways to improve. But anyway, I'm going to wrap it up. So the seed for this episode is going to be just that. Try improve a little bit in one area of your life or another. Like each day, try be a little bit better. It don't always have to be in the same area. Like one day exercise, another day read a book, another day listen to a new song, whatever it is. Experience something new, do something new, expand your horizons. Like life is full of abundance. Go out there and experience some of it. Have a good day and be a good person. All the best, and I'll catch you on the next one.